Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trump Tyranny Tracker. It's day 115 and
116.
116. And having so much
Too
fun.
many.
And Olga Lautman is here with the latest from the Trump Tyranny Tracker. My name is Shalev from narrative.org, NARATIV.org. I keep spelling it for people because otherwise you spell it correctly.
Morning.
Olga, how are you today?
Happy it's Friday, although the weekend I'm going to be working also. So,
You know, the march to authoritarianism does not stop, apparently. It continues, and
no,
there's so much news today. So let's get right into it. The biggest story on the tracker today, or one of the biggest, is all about the new deployment of National Guard troops for domestic immigration. This is an unusual thing for them to be doing. The Department of Homeland Security asked the Pentagon to deploy over 20,000 National Guard troops for domestic interior immigration enforcement. That's a euphemism if I've ever heard one. A significant escalation from past border support roles. And the Pentagon lawyers are currently reviewing the legality of this unprecedented request, which would blur the lines between defense and domestic policing. But this is, the National Guard being used for interior immigration. It's basically ICE's job.
absolutely. And, the reason, like I said, that I started this tracker is to look for patterns and, very specific patterns with authoritarian regimes. And this, like building a police state is one of the patterns. And we just, what was it, a few days ago when we did the live, we discussed how they were also tapping local law enforcement
Mhm.
to, basically carry out immigration enforcement. And then on top of it, you have the FBI and other agencies that are now being forced to do this. If you put this all together, again, I keep saying they're testing it right now on immigrants. This is for us.
Mhm.
And this is why we really need to put a stop, to this, because what they're doing right now is basically building like with various units huge police force, and also at the same time increasing military on the border, which military is not supposed to operate on US soil,
Mhm.
and they're also desensitizing the public by doing that. So I mean, it's something we really need to push back on.
Yeah, because what you're describing is really a private, not necessarily private, but a police force that's answerable directly to the president. It's going to not go through the normal layers of government where policing normally lies. This would be a direct force that the president could use for whatever he wanted at any time.
Guess
Um,
who has that?
yeah,
Russia.
Russia has that. A lot of authoritarian countries have that because you need it for domestic enforcement if you're going to establish an
Yeah.
authoritarian state. So this is one of those real markers that people have to really look at and say, well, this is a real indication that Trump is moving into a real authoritarian mode now, a real fascist mode, and it's alarm bell should be ringing about this one because it's so serious. Is there a way to stop it? Do you think that the courts might intervene or others might intervene? Do you think that
The
there's a
courts might, but I mean, we really, honestly, I hate to sound like a broken record, but we really need to be calling Congress and
Mhm.
local officials every single day until we get answers. Because you
Yeah.
know what they are? Some of them are breaking to the pressure. All we need is a few of them. A few that, in swing states who are worried about keeping their job, who will stand with Democrats. And at the same time, we need to be pressuring Democrats to address this, because I frankly haven't seen anything in Congress dealing with this. And I mean, this is between the surveillance state that Musk is building. I mean, where is the pushback? And
Mhm.
I mean, look, there's a lot of us in America, the people, we need to be pushing them to act and to stop this.
That's a really good time for me, maybe to mention the thing I put up on Narrative today after reading Judge Ludig's really great article in the Atlantic yesterday. Is all about how to write your own petition. I actually wrote a petition for everyone to look at, and if they want to send that petition, go for it. But you can amend it, you can take it, you can write it. But the right to petition for regress is part of the Constitution, and people are not really using it in that official form. It's got to be written in a specific letter. Before they kicked out King George, they went through this whole petition process for a few years, actually, to try and get, to get their complaints addressed. they were ignored, and that ultimately led to the revolution. But the Federalist Papers and all the other constitutional papers say that you got to follow these steps, and we sort of haven't done the step of petitioning.
No,
So people should take a look at that petition I put up there
definitely.
and read Judge Ludig's comments or article in the Atlantic, because it really, if someone like him, who's a very conservative
Yes.
judge, like he's not like a liberal at all.
No.
He's saying that the rule of law is no longer there. That the due process is no longer there in America. And if he's saying something like that, well, then it's time to really, really act. And anybody can write a petition. Anybody, you can write your own petition. You can use one. I've got a narrative.org, but send it to your Congress people today. And it's something you can do from home. Easy to do. No big deal. The second
Thank you for
story.
that. Thank you, because we need this and we need to use. Look, we're not defenseless.
Mhm.
And, there are many levers we can use, and we need to use them in order to slow this down.
It's really, and I use the Trump tyranny track a lot to compile it as well. But it was because you could really got to be specific in your allegations against
Yeah.
for the. So it's very helpful for people just to get a sense of how much there is, as we do here on Trump Tyranny Tracker, above how much stuff there is to seek regress for. The second story on today's Tyranny Tracker is all about the laws that Europe has, the digital laws that have been designed to curtail X, that are designed to curtail disinformation. Well, guess what? Now Donald Trump is moving to attack those laws. These are called the Digital Services Act, is what it's called in Europe. And he's saying, along with the State Department, that this law is endangering free speech and unfairly burdens American tech companies. The State Department has also launched a diplomatic campaign framing the law as a tool of censorship. And of course, it's not that. It's designed to stop X and Musk and all these other Russian propagandists from hurting
Facebook.
European, yeah, Facebook hurting European elections, which they're very nervous about. In general, Romania is coming up on Sunday, and so people are very. This is a very strange thing for Trump and Musk and any American presidency or anyone to be, basically helping Putin in Europe. But of course, we know why. But you'll tell us a lot more why.
No, I mean it's a very anti-Western thing, and basically, look, a lot of countries, authoritarian regimes carry out disinformation operations. We've seen it from Iran. North Korea is excellent with this, China, but Russia is particularly the one that has been successful in attacking US elections, European elections. They're constantly running operations for elections. I mean, right now, Poland has an election coming up, and they're seeing, Facebook ads that are being bought, and they suspect this is Russia to throw their domestic politics, up in the air. Um, and the fact that Trump, an American president, is taking the position of basically, we've seen what X has become. I mean, they've let disinformation run rampant. And I remember the past like year and a half, or maybe even 2 years, shortly after the full scale invasion. Um, Towards the end of 22, I started going on X, and literally every time I came on, I saw Russia Today, Sputnik being pushed in my face, Russian ambassadors, and all these far right and disinformation accounts. And now they want to do this in Europe. Europe, is actually working to counter disinformation because it is extremely harmful. We saw how many people died during COVID, from being told to inject Clorox, um, drink urine, and all the other things. I mean,
Mm,
that vaccines are in effect. We saw this, and it was stemming from Russia. Russia at the time was paying influencers on YouTube, on social media platforms, to push disinformation to cause distrust. Yes, hydrochloroquine,
mm,
to push disinformation, to basically cause upheaval within the countries. Because if you have a sick population and people distracted and dying and fighting with each other, burning masks in front of schools, I mean, it causes, this weakens a country, and a weakened country is easy to attack. And the fact that now Trump is using US pressure which I am positive will be tied to tariffs, to force European countries, to basically revamp their digital laws so someone like Musk can run around spreading disinformation. I mean, it's incredible. Europeans are smarter, but the fact that it's happening, it's disgusting, honestly. It really is.
It comes on the heels of a documentary just the other day on German television that did,
Yeah.
really labeled Musk, Putin's helpers, as I've been reporting for a long time, and you have too, as he's really an asset for the Russians now with the amount of meetings he's had with Putin's and connection he has to the Kremlin. So for Trump to be going in there. And we all
Yeah.
understand why, but it's basically doing it for Putin, which is, of course, just devastating for anyone who cares about American national security and foreign policy. The third story on today's show is all about the ICE raids forcing undocumented workers to flee mid-shift. So this is interesting because this is Kid Rock. So basically, Kid Rock is a Republican. He's a MAGA guy, right? He likes to
Yeah.
support.
Oh,
And
one
so
of the biggest.
yeah, so he's got the steakhouse, the Honky Tonk Steakhouse, and a Nashville eatery, I guess. And they were told to leave. They told their staff to leave mid-shift because of the coming ice raids. Now, were they tipped off, or how did that happen? That they got
This
to?
is the one that I included, and I actually struggled to figure which section to put it in the
Yeah.
tracker. But I thought it was like so necessary to show the hypocrisy.
Mhm.
Here you have Kid Rock, who, is one of the biggest Trump supporters. I mean, he's all over Trump. And he has consistently railed against illegal immigration, undocumented immigrants, and he has a chain of restaurants. And I mean, it goes more to the fact how he got the information. I'm sure he was tipped off, but the fact that here you have a Trump supporter who goes online and publicly and spews garbage against immigrants at the same time, his restaurants are employing immigrants. And when they get
Crazy.
word that ICE is operating and, carrying out raids in the vicinity, they tell their workers to go home. To go home. So now, basically, if we want to really look at this, he's obstructing ICE enforcement. And you have someone like, Mayor Baraka, who just literally was arrested because he went with congressional members to oversee an ICE facility. He was arrested for this. You have a judge who was arrested for this. And
Yeah.
here you have, Kid Rock basically not only the hypocrisy of using undocumented workers, but then telling, not him personally, but the people telling the staff to go home because we're going to have ICE raids and we don't want to lose you. I mean,
It's this, the judge was accused of letting the guy out the back door of the courthouse. Well, how is it
yeah.
any different? It's not different at
I mean,
all.
the only difference is that that guy was one, and here you have a few hundred
200.
across
Yeah.
his restaurant. That's the
I
difference.
It's really
And it
incomprehensible, the
shows the
hypocrisy.
hypocrisy.
Yeah.
It shows the hypocrisy because they frankly don't, really give a damn about undocumented immigrants because most of the Republican businesses, which, by the way, according to Trump's laws, are illegal to employ undocumented immigrants, they don't give a damn, but they are throwing this to the base, to feed the base red meat and to cause, again, more. Uh, Distraction, more like, hatred, more polarization in the country.
The other story that's on the tracker, which is also making me just shake my head in terms of like hypocrisy and everything else,
That's
is
me
the
all night when I write this tracker.
the Attorney General Pam
Yeah.
Bondi has sold more than $1 million in Trump media stocks the day after Trump announced those sweeping tariffs. Right, so the next day she sells $1 million of Trump media stock. It's kind of bizarre to me. She owns that amount of stock in this media company, and that's also unusual. But it's certainly raising eyebrows about whether there's a lot of insider trading. And certainly, my reporting has shown that there was insider trading that day. That Trump himself profited from those tariffs. But now it seems that the AG also did. Some people are saying maybe it's not so clear cut with her because she had indicated she was going to disinvest from those. But still, this is a serious insider trading scandal that could be brewing here.
I mean, that's a lot of coincidence that he, divest from this the
Yeah.
same day that Trump, announces his freaking insane tariffs. And the fact that, this is the Attorney General of the
Mm,
United States. I mean, at this
unbelievable.
moment, it's a joke. But I mean, in, Real World One, or like my favorite show is Flash, Earth One.
Yeah.
This is the Attorney General of the United States. The woman profited one or sold $1 to $5 million
Wow.
in Trump media stock. And she was definitely told, as were many Congress people told, who suddenly, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who
Yeah.
suddenly, all what, they all woke up that day and decided, gee, let me call my broker and sell, my shares of things or buy shares of
All the
things. Come
market
on.
data that day showed that people got early warning because the sales started
Absolutely.
happening before the announcement. And I'm
Yeah.
sure the Pam Bondi and Marjorie Taylor Greene were amongst those people who got the
And if
tip.
we had an SEC that wasn't hijacked,
Yeah.
that would be their job.
Or
But
Justice Department, but she's in charge of the Justice Department.
that's
So,
on Earth One.
yeah.
We're on Earth Two.
Unbelievable. There's one quick story to end the show today. It's all about the this. So now this is Donald Trump, of course, has been quite corrupt with the crypto VIP experience that he's offering his crypto people. But now he's also doing the same thing for America 250, which is a committee organizing America's 250th birthday events. You will get, if you give them a certain amount of money, I guess, a dedicated VIP experience and access to Trump's military events, which could include the parade that he's having for his birthday, or a readiness demonstration at Fort Bragg, or a July 4th celebration in DC. Sign me up, please. I'd love to go to one of those.
Again, I laugh and I shouldn't be
I
laughing,
know,
but
it's
if I
terrible.
wasn't laughing, I'd be in a mental institution
You have
from
to laugh.
covering and documenting this. But I mean, this is again insane. I don't even know what's more insane, that we're going to have a Russian style Victory Day parade in the US, freaking uh crowning Trump as, Thai leader, or the fact that he's selling VIP people access to his military parade. On top of, not to mention all the destruction of, the streets, as they roll down hundreds of tanks and, and other heavy equipment. I mean, the whole thing is again, it's so outrageous. you know
And the
I laugh.
optics.
I laugh,
Mm,
just to keep myself
yeah.
sane. But honestly, we really, again, that's why I keep saying we need to not only shine a spotlight
Mm.
on these stories, but also push back against this because it's insane. And can we cover one more story,
Of
because
course.
this is extremely, extremely important.
Yeah.
So Trump with his, insane trade tariffs, um, uh, which he slapped pretty much across the globe, including penguins, on an uninhabited island, is now using these tariffs and
Yeah.
threatening, basically what we saw. He got impeached for this when he threatened Zelensky, with military aid. For him opening an investigation at the time into the Bidens, which he never did. Now Trump is using tariffs and foreign aid in discussions to sell Starlink, force it on countries
Yeah.
to benefit Musk. I mean, where have you seen this? And one particular story that, ProPublica covers is Gambia, where they basically said, oh, wouldn't that foreign aid be very nice? Right?
Mm.
We do have Starlink products
Wow.
here to sell. So, I mean, this is what he got impeached for.
Yeah. Well, we got a whistleblower on the record say that Starlink is being used to siphon data out of Doge into Russia directly, is what the guy said, direct pipeline. I mean, these are big allegations, but they're yet to be proven completely. But he's probably correct. He's probably correct that that's where it's going. It certainly seems that way. Um, I find the Musk alliance with Trump and the corruption going around that unbelievable, because every day you report on a story about how he's giving himself a contract, how he's giving himself taking away all the regulatory powers that existed around his industries, that he's just giving himself this entire sector, or these sectors of government operation, and just handing it to himself. It's the most despicable thing in the world.
And and just to add, again, I don't have evidence of this, but it's extremely troubling that you have Denver, Newark Airport, losing visibility of
Mhm.
planes coming in. I mean, each plane holds what, 300 people? Losing visibility of planes. And, the transportation secretary,
Duffy,
denied that there
Duffy.
were any,
Mm.
Duffy, denied there were any purges. But in my tracker documented, purges on day 30,
Oh yeah.
29. And not only that, Musk infiltrating FAA to take contracts there. So what in the hell is going on that we suddenly have this like massive collapse of the U.S. airspace and our airports.
Well, isn't that the kind of thing that Putin does all the time? Creates a crisis, creates an emergency, and then he
Yes,
happens to have the solution for it
yeah,
afterwards.
absolutely.
Well, in this case, who's coming in saying he's got a solution? It's Musk with Starlink, and and do
And this
they?
is people's lives. I
Yeah,
mean,
of
imagine
course,
each plane that you're losing contact with, and there are, God knows, at any given time, dozens flying overhead, towards an airport. That's 300 people
it's
on a
crazy.
plane.
Duffy himself wouldn't let his wife fly into New York
Yes.
the other day. He said publicly. So you've got a situation where Elon Musk is really giving himself this FAA contract because he's going to be the only one. He's created a crisis that he's the only one who can solve at this point, and that's what I think we're going to see a lot of in Doge, because there's no one keeping a backup of anything. So
And
if the only people who know how to run it are the people who made it.
And at the risk of people, yesterday I was watching CNN and like literally, I rarely like am, freeze. And they played a display from a air traffic controller. He came forward um to report an incident that happened in New Jersey, not Newark, two other
Mm.
airports. Literally, I just sat there frozen. Two planes like this on the same altitude, like
Oh
this.
wow,
And then he said they were seconds from crashing. Seconds.
wow. There's a report that they were using 3D printers to print some parts for the
On eBay.
yeah, on eBay. It's just like
They're buying from eBay.
these are human lives, obviously, and it's also the air traffic reputation of this entire country. It's just a disaster. Anyhow, that is our tracker for today. As always, Olga Lautman, thank you for everything you do, and thank you for all the work. It's incredible. Every time I read the tracker, I'm blown away. If people
I'm
aren't
blown away putting it together. And just for people to understand, the stories we covered is like literally probably a
yeah,
tenth of the tracker. Go
yeah.
ahead. And thank you so much for doing this.
No worries. I love doing this because first I learned so much, but it's also good to hear from you, and your immediate response on these stories is so impactful. Everyone should subscribe to the Trump Tyranny Tracker. It's trumptyrannytracker.substack.com. We've heard a lot today about the militarization of the law enforcement around immigration. We've heard about the ICE raids that didn't affect Kid Rock's restaurant because he's able to let his staff off. We've learned about the FAA, and we've learned about so much more, where Elon Musk seems to be making so much money, as is Pam Bondi. That's the Trump Tyranny Tracker for day 116. We'll see
And
you.
don't forget the petition.
Oh,
Visit
yeah.
narrative.org to get the petition because
Really,
this is
it's a good
something
read.
we can all do.
Yeah. So, and, it takes maybe 20 minutes to print it off and just send it off in a mail or email, and no problem. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you
You
again
too.
Monday on the Trump Tyranny Tracker. Bye, Olga.
Bye.